Hi guys, it's Kate from Core Wellbeing, and I just wanted to record a quick video for you today because I've accidentally caused a little bit of a stir, and I just want to clarify what on earth I'm talking about. So, a few months ago, I recorded a podcast with the boys over at the Mind Muscle Project. And if you're not already subscribed, I really recommend that you do. These guys are awesome. They interview lots of different people across sort of health, nutrition, fitness, a lot of information relevant to CrossFit, but also just applicable to life and fitness in general. So in my interview, we started talking a little bit about carbohydrates, gluten-free diets, and the topic of rice came up. And I said that I actually prefer people to eat white rice than brown rice. Now, a lot of people, I know that sounds opposite to everything that health professionals have been saying for a long time. And I just want to clarify exactly what I meant by it. So rice inherently is not bad, white, brown, whatever. It's actually quite a useful food. It is a grain that if people are having grains in their diet, I would recommend because it is gluten-free and it does tend to be quite low allergenic. As with all things health, there is always going to be someone who reacts to rice or reacts to any type of food. So there is no one size fits all, but on the whole, rice is fairly low allergenic. The reason that I say people should opt for white rice over brown rice is because it actually seems to be a lot easier to digest. And while it is lacking the vitamins and minerals, the kind of extra nutrients that come with brown rice, I actually think that the benefits of white rice and the negatives of brown rice, white rice does come out on top. So with your brown rice, you obviously still have the bran and the whole grain is intact. And because you have that whole grain intact, you do have, the B vitamins, other minerals. It has, some oils in there as well, which sounds like it would be a good thing. And it is a good thing if you are able to access rice that hasn't been sitting on the shelf for a long time and you prepare it properly. And what I mean by that is you soak it before you cook it and then, you cook it and eat it quite quickly. You don't want it sitting around for a long time. However, in our sort of food supply now, when we walk into the supermarket and we see on the shelf we've got white rice and we've got brown rice, they're in nice plastic packets and they've been sitting there for quite some time. They have a long expiry date. That sounds fantastic. We can keep it in the back of the pantry and use it when we need. The only downside to that, not the only, but a big downside to that is the oils within the rice bran are just inherently quite volatile. So they're quite sensitive to heat, to light, and to oxygen. Now, when we have the rice sitting in these packets on the shelf, we don't know what it's been exposed to previously in terms of heat, light, and oxygen. And then if we keep it sitting on our pantry shelf, even if we have it in a dark jar or at the back of the shelf and it's cool and it's not open, it's had previous exposure and it is going to start to degrade anyway. So those oils are very prone to going rancid. And when we ingest rancid oils, that promotes inflammation in the body, which is definitely not something that we want. The other thing with the brown rice, so yes, it contains, again, those vitamins, minerals, nutrients that sound like they would be great, and they are great when you're getting them from appropriate sources. But when they're contained within that rice grain, and again, unless you've prepared it properly, so you've pre-soaked it and then you've cooked it, it's actually quite difficult for the body to access a lot of that nutrition. And similarly to the oils, those nutrients do start to degrade over time with heat, light, and oxygen exposure. So we jump over to white rice, and while it definitely is lacking any of those oils, which can be beneficial when they haven't gone rancid, and it also is lacking a lot of those nutrients, so you kind of think, well, why would you have it? And the reason I recommend people have it is purely for the carbohydrate content. So and we all need carbohydrate for energy, and certain groups of people will need more carbohydrate, certain groups will need less, and the timing of that carbohydrate will also be different depending on what your health goals are, what your level of activity is. But white rice as a pure carbohydrate source is actually quite an okay thing to have. Yes, you're not getting anything additional from it, but I'm not suggesting that you sit down to eat a bowl of white rice and white rice only. It's always going to be an accompaniment to your meal. So you might have a bit of white rice with your protein, so chicken, fish, meat, eggs, legumes, whatever it is for you, and a big plate of vegetables. So you're getting those vitamins and minerals and antioxidants from the colourful vegetables that are making up the majority of your plate. You're getting the protein from whatever your chosen protein source is. You can add some fat that you know hasn't been oxidized, so whether that's a good quality olive oil, whether it's some avocado, whether it's nuts and seeds, butter, that would be my personal favourite, coconut oil, another great one. And so the white rice there is acting purely as a carbohydrate source. You're not going to have those inflammatory rancid oils there because they have been removed. And yes, you're not getting nutrition, but now we know that we've got it elsewhere on the plate. It kind of goes against some of my theory in that, I do recommend people eat whole foods, and white rice has had a level of processing, and I do acknowledge that. So ideally, if you're going to, fill that carbohydrate space, you could do so with things like potato, sweet potato, those starchy vegetables. That's also going to be amazing. Quinoa, that's another great one. So a whole grain that is very nutritious and again, quite low allergenic. It's not technically a grain, it's actually a seed. But if you want rice, and I know it's a quick, easy substitute, I know if you have children, it can be, very palatable for them, and you're opting between white rice and brown rice, I would suggest that you steer more towards the white rice. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm talking about the white rice that's in those microwave pouches that you just heat up and eat. Those have other issues. So, A, the fact that you're microwaving them, and B, that you're doing so in a plastic pouch, and that they've already been sort of pre-cooked. So you have had them sitting around and exposed again to that heat, light, oxygen picture. Don't love that at all. I would much rather that you skip the carbohydrate in that meal and go for something else, later in the day or at another time, or have a piece of fruit or some other way to bump it up. But white rice, can be quite a good choice for the majority of people the majority of the time. As I've said, there is no black and white with health and nutrition. Everything is very individualized. But I hope that's kind of cleared up for you why I had that rationale. And I hope it gives you some confidence, I guess, to move back towards white rice. And just as well, I want to say that I don't mean white rice in a sushi roll, because that often has, added vinegars and sweeteners and that kind of stuff as well. So just to add another level of complexity. But just on the whole, if you're sitting at home, about to make dinner, you're wondering white or brown rice, which one should I do? White rice is a perfectly okay choice. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope that was informative, and if you have any questions at all, I am happy to answer them, so send them on over, and I will chat to you guys soon. Bye.